In this episode of the Media Diaries, I will be talking about 6 of my favourite childhood books, and those are The Chocolate Box Girls, Stardust, Sophie and the Shadow Woods, The Secret Theatre, Heartside Bay, and The Witch of Turlingham Academy. Hopefully I said that right. So I'm going to go into a bit of background. When I was younger, guys, I have to fan, it is so hot. When I was younger, I loved to read. I read all the time. I read more as a child than I do now, and I loved it. I loved reading. I loved, especially when I was about 6 and 7, 8, I loved to play make-believe around these books because I loved them so much, and I'm really excited to share them with you today. So the first book series I'm going to talk about today is The Chocolate Box Girls. I loved The Chocolate Box Girls. I have got all the books right here, okay? I was obsessed with this book series. The first one I read was, I want to say the first one I read was Marshmallow Skye. That was the first one I ever read, and it continues to be my favourite. I loved Skye. So the first book of the Chocolate Box Girls series starts with Cherry Crush. Cherry lives in Scotland with her father, and she moves down to Somerset to live with his new girlfriend and her family. She has 4 daughters: Skye, Summer, Coco, and Sweet Honey. They've all got such different personalities. I remember me and my friends in primary school, we would pick like which one we were. I always loved to be either Summer or Marshmallow Skye. I always call her Marshmallow Skye. I have to say the full name. In reality, I was probably a Cherry. Now, I've recently been saying, oh, why does everyone hate Cherry? Like, what's going on? Guys, I've just reread the book. I kind of understand now. I understand. Cherry's got serious beef with the older sister, Honey. Like, this is the 5th book. There's 6 books in total. This is the 5th book, and this is the first book. They've got beef. They hate each other, okay? And when I was younger, I could not stand Honey. And to this day, I still think she was doing a bit too much. She was she idolized her father too much. I'm getting too ahead of myself. Can I just say, the father of those 4 girls, okay? Oh my gosh. I can't say the word I want to say to describe him. He is not good. He is not a good guy. Anyways, that brings us to the 6th book. Summer, Skye, Coco, and Honey find out that they have a half-brother, Jake. He lives in London, and he runs away to Somerset when he finds out, oh, I've got half-sisters, and he moves to Tanglewood, which is where the sisters live in Somerset. Now, their mum runs, from what I remember, their mum and Cherry's dad, they run a chocolate company. They've started a chocolate company, ran out of the house, which is why they're called the Chocolate Box Girls. Cassidy wrote these books, and she did an amazing job. I love this series. I'm not going to do a deep dive because, once again, if you've watched part 1 of my Media Diaries, I am not good at a deep dive. But what I hope, what will one day happen, is that these books will become a TV show, or even just low budget movies. It has to happen because it is incredible. Let's talk about Summer's Dream. Oh my gosh. This book, Summer wants to be a ballet dancer, but she develops an eating disorder, and is there a trigger warning? There was no trigger warning for this book when I read it as a child. It's a very good book. I love Summer's Dream, but wow, okay, if you're gonna read this book, trigger warning, serious eating disorder, okay? She does solve it in the end. She doesn't get to go to the ballet school she wanted because she has to sort out the eating disorder, but the book does give resources for kids dealing with this sort of thing, which is a real thing that kids deal with, so it is good for that. Marshmallow Skye, there was a bit of a supernatural feel to this book. Very supernatural. I loved it though. If you like supernatural stuff, start with Marshmallow Skye. Cherry is a pathological liar when she starts the book. At least that's what I remember. If I post this and I'm like completely wrong and I've just made this up, I'm so sorry, but I'm pretty sure she's a pathological liar. She does fix it though, eventually. Honey. Honey, honey, honey. I think she's misunderstood. I think I do see a bit of myself in her, which is why I dislike her so much, and I disliked her so much as a child. But she gets her fresh start. She gets her fresh start, and I'm really happy for her. Coco. I feel like Coco is the most forgotten chocolate box sister, and I forget about her. Like she comes before Honey, and I still put her last. But Coco is obsessed with animals, and she just wasn't my kind of girl when I was a kid. Like, she was just too obsessed with animals, and I'm not an animal girl, guys. I'm not one for animals, which is probably why she's my least favorite. But this book is so sweet, and it does put Coco in the the spotlight, which is good. And then obviously again, Jake comes to Tanglewood and starts causing all sorts of trouble, but he can't help it. He can't. It's just who he is. Okay. Oh, I forgot, at the back of the books, right, they would give like personality traits of the girls, and they would make you take a quiz for, oh, which chocolate box girl are you most like? And I always got Honey or Skye. I would get really angry. Keep in mind, it was the same questionnaire in every single book. Sometimes I would get Honey, sometimes I would get Skye, and when I got Honey, I would get so angry. So that is the Chocolate Box Girls. If you have read the series, which sister do you relate most to, and who was your favourite? And what was your favourite part of, you know, the entire series? I would love to know, because my favourite part was in Summer's dream when Summer catches Honey smoking a cigarette. Honey chucks the cigarette down and the entire barn sets on fire. That was drama to me as a child. I was shocked. I was like, Honey smoking a cigarette and she's just burnt down the barn and Summer's in it. It was cinema to me. Cassidy also had a website where these actors played the girls, and it would be short little webisodes, so short. I can't find them anywhere. I was obsessed with watching them. I'm so sad I can't remember. It was years ago. I'm talking 2011. That's 15 years ago, so I can't remember. But I remember sitting down, always going to her website and watching and waiting for the next book to come out. Oh, I remember when Fortune Cookie came out. I was like, wow, okay, there's a brother. I hadn't read Sweet Honey yet, so when I saw that Fortune Cookie was coming out, I was like, why is Fortune Cookie coming out? Because they've already got a book about, it's called Bittersweet. I think it came out for World Book Day. Bittersweet, and it's about Honey's ex-boyfriend, who then became her stepsister Cherry's boyfriend. Yeah, it's messy, guys. It's really messy. But I was like, oh, okay, why is there another book? And why is it about a boy? They had a half-brother. Oh. When I found that out, it changed my life. I was so angry at the dad. Do you see how I haven't even bothered to remember his name? That's how much I hate him. I hate those sisters' dad. Not Paddy, their actual dad. I know I'm speaking gibberish, but that's why you have to go read the series to understand, okay? Because I'm not explaining it to you. Go read the series. This next one, I'm really excited to talk about because it was little 8-year-old me's favourite series ever, and it is called Stardust by Linda Chapman. So in Stardust, Lucy's just a regular kid until she gets a new neighbour, Allegra, and her mum. They become friends, and I'm pretty sure Allegra invites Lucy to a sleepover and reveals that she's a Stardust spirit and that Lucy is one too. She gives Lucy the Stardust spirit spell. I need to find that because I used to recite that spell all the time. After Lucy becomes a Stardust spirit, they spend every night sneaking out of their bedrooms, going to meet with the other Stardust spirits who spend their time using their specific elemental powers to protect animals, the environment, fight off dark spirits who want to steal their Stardust. And they're doing all of this while just being teens. No, not even teens, pre-teens. Okay, they're fighting dark spirits and they're like 11. It's giving Harry Potter. So I mentioned elemental magic. So every Stardust spirit is a different element. So Lucy was a summer spirit. Allegra was a spring spirit, I want to say. Their two best friends, Faye and Ella. Ella was a winter spirit, and Faye, I'm pretty sure, was an autumn spirit. or she was the spring spirit. I can't remember exactly. Again, guys, it's been about 15 years. I actually read this recently, so I don't know why I can't remember. Me and my friends would pick what spirits we wanted to be. And because my favorite season is spring, I was always like, oh, I'm the spring spirit. And I loved being a spring spirit. But anyways, back to the series. In the series, Lucy is the last summer spirit, so she's really powerful. Like all the adult Stardust spirits, they're really shocked at how powerful she is, but there hasn't been another summer one because the dark spirits are taking the powers of other Stardust spirits, which is messing with the balance. I sound crazy, but I promise you this all happens in this little book. It's a whole series. I believe there are 8 books, maybe 6. I remember reading 6, but apparently there were more. But they weren't in my school library, so I couldn't read them. But I remember I was really scared of the dark spirits. Like, these guys were hunting down 10-year-old girls to drain them of their stardust and steal their powers. No. It did scare me. It did scare me a bit, but I continued reading because I was so addicted to it. You're probably wondering why they weren't tired and how Lucy's parents didn't suspect anything, but when they would go to sleep, their stardust energy, their stardust spirit would energize them, so they didn't really need that much sleep. I wish. I tried to do it as a child, guys. No, knocked me out for about 2 days. Don't try it, guys. I would spend all my time on the Linda Chapman website. There used to be a Stardust website. It makes me so sad that all these websites, like the Cassidy website and the Linda Chapman website, have just been, because of Flash disappearing, all of these websites are gone. But the Stardust website was so fun. They had games, and then they had the Stardust spirit spell, and I would recite it every night by my window, hoping and praying that I was a Stardust spirit, but I was not a Stardust spirit, you guys. I was just regular old Deborah. It's okay. It's okay. I'm not annoyed. I'm not upset. Doesn't affect me in any way to this day. No. I can't remember exactly where this series is set, but it is set in Britain. And there's woods. So in my mind, I place it in Yorkshire. Sorry, that's just where I place it. That's where I've always imagined it. Alongside Stardust, there was also another series by Linda Chapman. I'm not going to go into it because I wasn't really a fan of it, but it also was about Stardust spirits, except they were horses. It was called My Secret Unicorn. The horse girls loved it. I'm not an animal lover, so I never really meshed with it. When I read the books, I was like, oh, you know, I don't know what this is. But if you like horses and you like the sound of Stardust spirits, I would recommend My Secret Unicorn. I say to my audience of over 18. I love rereading my childhood favourites. Like, go ahead, go read it. For the next series, you're going to have to bear with me. This one, truly, I have not read for years and years and years. So my details on this series might be a bit foggy. It's also by Linda Chapman and also Lee Weatherly, I want to say. Yes, Lee Weatherly. So, the plot of Sophie and the Shadow Woods is, on her 10th birthday, she discovers that she is the guardian of the Shadow Woods. The previous guardian was her grandfather, who didn't pay much attention to her because usually the next guardian is a boy. It's usually boys who are the guardians, so he was more focused on her twin brother, whose name I want to say was Anthony. I might be making that up. I'm pretty sure it was Anthony. But in the first book, called Sophie and the Goblin King, it turns out that Sophie is in fact the guardian, and he pivots all his attention to her and starts training her. There's a portal in the woods behind her house that connects the human world to the shadow realm, and it's her job to protect the human world from these shadow creatures. And there's goblin, there's sprites, there's spider gnomes. They're trying to cross over and take over the human world. So with her best friend Sam, every time they defeat a monster, she receives a magical charm on her bracelet. I wanted a charm bracelet because of her. This is what started my obsession with charm bracelet, was Sophie from Sophie and the Shadow Woods. I don't know if you're seeing a theme in the books I loved. as a child where they're all saving the world and they're like 10, to me it made me think I can do anything at all. I don't know if Sophie and the Shadowwoods had a website. I don't think it did by the time I got around to reading it, because I would have definitely been on that website all the time. In primary school, I would make my friends, they didn't read this book series by the way, they read Stardust, but they didn't read Sophie and the Shadowwoods, and I would make them pretend that the woods behind our school were the shadow realms and I was Sophie, the hero of the story. Can you tell the sort of child I was? I loved to play make-believe, and I loved playing Sophie and pretending like I was saving the world from all these shadow creatures. So if you have a 10-year-old, get them this book. I would say get them this book. I feel like in the UK, we all focus on Jacqueline Wilson, and she was amazing. Oh, Jacqueline, I'll talk about her later. She's an incredible author. But there are other authors that we should explore. And I'm so sure that we read all these books, but we always focus on Jacqueline. Okay, this next book that I'm about to discuss, okay, I need you to let me know in the comments, okay? Was your school, your primary school, were you visited by an author called Luke Temple? This is how I discovered this book. So the author visited our school and he was explaining all his books to us, and one of the books was called The Secret Theatre. I've got it right here. Now, when me and my friend heard the description for this book, we were like, yeah, okay, we're gonna get this book, and we made our parents buy it. Luke Temple also signed all the books. I can't find my original copy. It's probably somewhere in my garage. This one's I bought this one online, and it was Harvey. Sorry, Harvey, I've got your book. But December 2013 is also when he visited my school. So I'm going to assume that he went on a tour of the UK. I'm really hoping I'm not like hallucinating and other people witnessed this and had this in their primary school. I loved The Secret Theatre. I love everything. So The Secret Theatre, once again, it's set in Britain, and it's about a girl called Becky who stumbles upon an abandoned theatre that's hidden underneath a house. I can't remember the exact details, but I'm pretty sure for 50 years on this island, theatre has been banned. Why? I can't remember. No, I do remember. So 50 years ago, the island was ruled by, I don't know. So in this book, 50 years ago, this island, just off the shore of Britain, they were taken over by somebody and they banned theatre. I might be getting this wrong. So this girl called Emily, she created The Secret Theatre underneath her house, the Midsummer House, and she put on productions, but eventually somebody sold them out, and the bad people, I'm going to call them the bad people because I can't remember who they are. The bad people came and pretty much shut that whole thing down. So 50 years later, Becky stumbles upon the theatre and she starts uncovering the theatre's past, and there's a real ghost story element to this book that I love. Emily's ghost appears at the end, I think. So Becky, when she discovers this theatre, she develops a love for theatre and she starts to recruit other kids of the island to star in a secret production with her. I was obsessed with this. I don't know if it's the fact that it was hidden and they were hiding it from all the adults, so like 10-year-old me was like, yeah, let's do this. I would look at buildings and think, yeah, that's the Secret Theatre. So when me and my friend obviously found this book, started reading it, I remember World Book Day came and we both dressed up as Becky, and when we came in the teachers were so confused because we were just dressed up in normal clothes, but we were like, no, we're Becky, and they probably thought we were trying to have them on, but we genuinely were like, we're Becky from the Secret Theatre. You don't get it, but we're Becky from the Secret Theatre, and we were just dressed in like jeans on the top. I've just realised I never said the name of the island. The island's called Thistlewick Island. So the Secret Theatre is one book. There's another book called Stormy Cliff about this brother and sister who go to find hidden treasure to stop their school from shutting down, and they actually appear in this book. I never read Stormy Cliff. When I was younger, I was like, no, no, it doesn't mesh with me. This was, I took one look at this, I said, yeah, The Secret Theatre, that's for me. Stormy Cliff, no. But Becky, he actually has another book set on Thistlewick Island with Becky in it called Ghost Post. I also never read this one. Guys, I was 10. If the book wasn't in the library, out of sight, out of mind. I feel like Luke Temple, he's really underrated. These books are really good, and I really hope other people remember him visiting their schools and also read his books, and maybe even read Stormy Cliff, because I've been wanting to get it so I can finally read it and I just keep forgetting. So tell me if you have read Stormy Cliff. The next book series I'm going to be talking about is Heartside Bay by Cathy Cole. I should not have been reading this at age 11 to 12, okay? I don't know, now that I think about it, I don't know how I discovered this series. I don't know how I got my hands on it. I would go to the library every Sunday after church and just go crazy and get whatever books I could. Heartside Bay was about 15-year-old girls, they were in year 10. The drama that they had, I don't think I had that type of drama when I was 15. Or maybe I did. So Heartside Bay mainly revolves around 4 main girls: Lila, Polly, Ree, and Eve. Oh, Eve. I'll get back to that. So Lila moves from London. She's the new girl. She moves from London to this tiny coastal town called Heartside Bay, and she becomes friends with these girls. They argue in every single book. This book is like a soap opera. Every single book ended on a cliffhanger. Keep in mind these girls were 15. I am pretty sure in one of the books this happened. Eve threw a party and a boy got too excited, got too hyped up, jumped off a cliff and died. Yes, that happens. I think the best way to compare this to an American book series is to compare it to Sweet Valley High. These guys are like 15, 16, dealing with the most incredible stuff. Incredible, the boy died. The most craziest stuff ever. So if you like drama, if you're into soap operas, read Heartside Bay. Oh my gosh, the drama in this series, like, I can, again, 15 years ago, it's not one of the ones that I've read recently. I've been trying to find the entire series so I can buy it and read it again. I don't know if I can put myself through that again, or if I'll look at it and be like, these kids were too dramatic, like you did not have to do all of that. But my favorite, I do remember my favorite character was Eve. Eve is like the perfect princess, but she's actually hiding all these secrets, but everybody's like, oh, she's rich, she's perfect, she shouldn't have, you know, any problems. But she goes through it. She really does go through it. Eve was completely isolated from her peers, and even from the, because it's a small town, it's a very small town, so she and her family are just isolated from everyone after that. But she, I'm not going to spoil it, but she discovers herself, guys. She really does discover herself, and eventually she's introduced back into the fold. But again, they fall out in every book, especially over this boy called Ollie. I think Ollie was Eve's ex, and then Polly was always acting like she hated all the local boys in their town, but then she fell for Ollie and started dating him, and Eve was like, you're meant to be my best friend, like what's going on? Oh, the drama. Oh, I loved this book. Can you guys tell that I love drama? I love this book so much. Now Ree, I haven't talked a lot about Ree. Ree didn't really interest me. She was the musical one. Was Ree your favourite? If you have read Heartside Bay, tell me, because this is a series. I've been able, with all these books, I've been able to find at least one person who has read them. But Heartside Bay, I have never met a person who has actually read this series, and I want somebody who can remind me of what happened, and when I do read it again, we can talk about it. I would love that. So because I read these books so young, I thought at 15 my life was going to be full of all this drama. You know, there was all this, there was a music festival. I have never been to a festival in my life. I'm 23. not touch the festival. I've decided they're not for me, but I thought they were going to be dramatic music festivals. I would have a fashion business startup. I do not know how these girls were doing all of this. There are 12 books in this series, every one more dramatic than the last. I cannot stress you enough, read this series. It's an easy read, very easy to read, but so much drama. So much. So the final book I will be discussing today is The Witch of Turlingham Academy by Ellie Boswell. Guess what? I loved this series. Has anyone else read it? This is Heartside Bay and The Witch of Turlingham Academy. Have never met anyone who have read these series. So in this book, there's a girl called Sophie. She's a regular kid. She attends a boarding school, which her mum is the principal of, but she's not actually a boarding student. She's the only day student in the school, which means she misses everything. She misses all the late night gossip. She misses all the midnight feasts. She does not like it, but her mum does not want her staying over. So one day, a new girl comes. Her name's Cathy. She's come with her brother, Albert. They're boarding students, and this new girl, Cathy, she takes all of Sophie's friends because she's rooming with them, which should be Sophie's room. But no, Cathy takes the room. And Sophie is not happy about this. But she finds out that Cathy is actually a witch hunter. And Cathy is looking for a witch in the school. So Sophie agrees to help her to get rid of Cathy so she can have her friends back. Now, guess what I'm going to say? It's been years. I can't remember exactly what goes down, but they find out that the witch is in fact Sophie. Sophie is the witch, and this is Sophie's first time discovering this. Her dad's not in the picture. He comes back. Few books in, eventually he comes back. Or is it in the first book he comes back? Anyways, I've just realised I've been calling Katie's brother Albert. His name's not Albert, his name's Ashton. There are 5 books in this series, and it first starts off with, you know, sweet little, oh, you're a witch, I'm a witch hunter, let's be friends anyway. But as the book goes on, it gets darker. Now, I'm sure if I reread it now, it wouldn't seem that deep. But as a child, when I was reading this book, I was like, wow, okay. It turns out that Katie's uncle, who's a witch hunter, was married to Sophie's auntie, Angelina. He was married to her, but he stole her magic, leaving her in an almost comatose state. Throughout the series, they have to deal with all these rival factions of witches and witch hunters who would lose their minds if they found out they were friends. At some point, there's also a ghost, I'm pretty sure. That might be the second book. If you're into, you know, boarding school series, magic, The Witch of Turlingham Academy is for you. It is so fun, and I wish I could tell you in more detail, but I need to reread the series again. So that's all the books for today. I'm sorry that it's not as detailed and my memory seems very scattered, but it is 32 degrees. My mind is, and I promise I am going to redo this video, and I will have read all the books again, have them fresh in my mind, notes at the ready. But I had a dream, you guys, that somebody did this video before me, and not a chance. No, this is my series, my media diary, and I will do it first. So I will do it again, but this is what you have for now, okay? And I hope you guys are happy with that. To be honest, besides the dream, there was also another reason why I wanted to do this video, and that was to rant about CBBC. All the authors that I have mentioned in this episode, they are British authors. I don't know why we're not drawing from these books and making them into TV shows, making them into low-budget movies for CBBC, made for TV. We're using all this imported media, and we're still showing reruns of The Dumping Ground when we have all this source material around us. And even with The Dumping Ground, right, Jacqueline Wilson has so many books. Lily alone, 4 Children and It. I'm pretty sure CBBC also did do a series, Hetty Feather. Oh, I love Hetty Feather. But that was it. They did Tracy Beaker, The Dumping Ground, and Hetty Feather, and that was it. They stopped. Why, when we have so much material? Can you imagine a series of the Chocolate Box Girls, or even just a low budget movie, and they hire working class actors? That would be incredible. And I do know that the BBC has had to scale back a bit due to budgeting cuts and all of this stuff, but maybe let's roll back on The Dumping Grounds. Let's roll back on the Waterloo Road, even though I actually do love the reboot series, but let's start looking at stuff we already have. Let's look at stuff like this and make them into brand new shows, brand new TV shows. And stop importing American stuff. Australia, I don't mind. Canada, I don't mind. It gave us the next step. But let's focus on British authors that have written books set in Britain. I would love to see Heartside Bay as a teen soap opera. I'm sorry, I'm 23 years old and I would be tuned into CBBC every night to watch that, okay? They are losing serious money. I feel like, I want to say that they've run out of ideas, but there are ideas everywhere. Like, and as well, it will get the kids reading, I feel like. I remember when I watched Tracy Beaker, I read the book Tracy Beaker because I saw it on TV. Let's do it. CBBC, what's going on? So again, that's all for today. I will redo this video in more details in a future Media Diaries episode, but I just wanted to get this out now because it was just sitting on my mind so much. In the next Media Diaries episode, I will still be focusing on books I read as a child, and I'm planning on including Zodiac Girls by Cathy Hopkins, the Mate's Date series, also by Cathy Hopkins, Infinity Ring, Galliford Girls by Ali Carter, and Colleen Style Queen by Colleen McLaughlin, who is now known as Colleen Rooney. Yes, when I found that out 2 years ago, I was shocked, but we'll get into that in the next Media Diaries. Again, I hope you enjoyed the video, and please leave me constructive criticism in the comments, please, because I'm trying to improve my videos a lot, and I hope to see you all at the next one. See you.